Welcome to Beyond Work, a series by F15 where we unpack the big shifts in our future work lives. My name is Olivia Chang, and in this series, I'll be speaking to the business leaders and the entrepreneurs who are driving this movement. Joining me today is André Abreu. He's the CEO of Alaya, which is an employee engagement platform, and he joins me now from Geneva. So, André, I have to pick on you first. How are you actually measuring how engaged your own employees are with their work and the company?
Very good question. I mean, we try to lead from the front within Alaya, right? So engagement is a lot about offering this space for employees to do what's important for them and to do some meaningful work. So besides, transparency and, an open dialogue with people, which is quite important, we also try to encourage as much as we can for employees to live their purpose. And I think we're going to be talking a lot about that, but purpose is so important for Alaya and for our partners. So we try to create opportunities and experiences in which our own employees can give back to community and can also feel valued and in the world, in the job they're doing. So I think this is quite important to engage them.
And speaking of purpose, what you're trying to offer is to get people more involved with things like volunteering, donating their time, fundraising. I mean, that's a lot to pack in for employees. So how are you trying to get that going?
So at Alaya, we enable companies to build this purpose-driven culture, right? And try to engage them engage employees to make a meaningful impact. So we have to structure it together with our partners. So we offer the software for companies, and we work with them to create, meaningful experiences in which we can bring out this human side of work, and the employees can feel, can do good and can measure their actions. So very concretely is a little bit what you mentioned. So we have activities and projects around volunteering, around donations. We can also encourage employees to work on their habits and how can you change your habits so that people live a more sustainable lifestyle. How can it be a workplace which is more inclusive, more diverse? So it's also about encouraging people to take care of their mental health, for example, or promoting well-being in general. So all in a platform, of course, all in a platform that allows companies to track the impact that they're making, to track how employees are being more engaged, and to measure the return on investment of their purpose programs.
How much of this sense of purpose and this motivation to build Alaya was driven by, I guess, your own first-hand experiences? As I understand, you did work in HR for a number of years.
Correct. I believe it was, so the idea started about 4 to 5 years ago. And at that time I was working in recruitment, right? Which is a mix between a recruitment agency, which is a mix between HR and a sales job. And at that point I worked quite a few years in Switzerland, and then a few years in Singapore. And as the first motivation, you see firsthand how companies are investing so much time and money and efforts to hire the best talents out there in the market. But I just felt they could do better in engaging them or in getting the best out of the people they are hiring, retaining them, working on their skills, working on things that matter for them. So there was something to be done on the engagement side, right? And at the same time, I think that was back 2015, 2016, there were some issues in the world that really, really touched me, right? So first of all, I'm originally from Brazil, so there were quite a few important problems in Brazil at that time. You had the refugee crisis in Europe, especially, which was a topic all over the media, and I wanted to get more involved on that. You also had an earthquake in Nepal, if I'm not mistaken, at the same time. But anyway, there were these issues, and I felt this need to act a little bit more, to do something. And I saw this around me as well. I could talk to friends and family and colleagues, and people wanted to do more. But somehow, not because people are bad, but somehow we just don't do enough. We work too much, we have our personal lives, And doing good and maximizing this potential that we have for doing good, it's not that easy, right? So on the one side, you have so many issues and so many people that need help. And on the other side, you have people that want to help. And somehow the match is simply not done. So thinking about employee engagement, but also thinking about offering something for people to act, right? To do more things for society. And that's where the idea of this company came about, right? Let's offer a solution that makes it very easy and simple for people to do good. And let's work with companies to get this double benefit where you can engage the employees, but at the same time, you can create some nice impact.
So let's actually review the past year, because obviously a lot has happened. The crisis and the pandemic is still ongoing. Do you think employee engagement is even at the top of the priorities for many executives and CEOs out there?
I think it's getting better. I think the trend is there, and people see the importance of focusing on employee engagement, and they see how employee engagement is a topic that goes beyond human resources. Right? It's not something exclusive for the human resources department. It involves everybody, all departments. It involves top management. And what we had in 2020 is that it's a year of crisis. It's a year of deep changes in society and a lot of uncertainties, and changes in companies and in business relationships with physical distancing and others. And as human beings, we don't tend to like uncertainty, right? But crisis also brings people together, right? We see problems around us, we see suffering, we see charities or beneficiaries that need more help than ever, and we have this need to act, which is a very good thing. And since people are good, very good in general, sometimes all you need is a little push or some guidance so that they can really maximize this potential. So during crisis, it was very nice to see as well this rise of solidarity among people, right? And while purpose or the rise of solidarity in times of crisis are not necessarily new concepts, in 2020 there is also more urgency than ever, right? We have some important movements, I think, right, from COVID, which is something completely new for everybody, but movements like Black Lives Matter or climate change, and other movements that actually emphasize the need for people to take action and to take action now, right? If you want to take care of the world for future generations, things have to be done now. And of course, this impacts businesses, and it impacts the assessment of employee engagement in general.
And so what are some of the more creative or unusual solutions that you have seen employees and companies take to during this year of uncertainty?
Very good question. I mean, it's there are limitations, right, in this year, because while companies, since the situation impacts businesses and people want their businesses to take action, at the same time we're a little bit limited because there is physical distancing. There's a lot of home office, but there's a lot of not only home office, but people that simply can't go to work, but have to remain engaged. So a lot of the solutions we've seen around include virtual activities, right? So in the first one, just to name a few examples, so you have everything, volunteering that used to be done a lot on the field, suddenly it's being done virtually entirely, but you can still do a lot of volunteering online, right? You can share your skills, you can help charities that can be based anywhere in the world, and everything done behind your computer with maybe your technical skills, or sometimes not even your technical skills. You can, we launched something called Small Acts of Kindness, where people can simply volunteer to anybody they want. They can give a call to somebody that is alone at home. They can go do groceries to your neighbor. People can make donations. You can run fundraising challenges, even if you are at home. Then we have all this part around change of habits. How do you engage employees and encourage them to live a more sustainable or a healthier lifestyle, right? So there are different challenges or different projects that we actually encourage employees to do to see if they discover new habits that are more in line with sustainability or more in line with a nicer lifestyle.
And where does hiring actually fit into this? Because for a lot of people, getting started, that onboarding experience, that recruitment experience, that's very crucial in how they view and engage with the company later on.
That was so new for us as well. I mean, I believe that confinement started or the situation started to get worse in March, and I think we had even within Alaya, we had a few employees starting in April or end of March and April, and everything had to be done online. And we really wanted to make sure that the experience was amazing, even though we couldn't see them. And then we hired, and other companies as well. They're hiring people. Sometimes you're not meeting them physically. You have to do everything online. But if you plan it properly, I think you can get the onboarding quite well. All right. So we made sure to have, an agenda that was very well planned ahead for people that were coming in. Right. So we're going to have a training with this person, another training with that one. All the tools, all the setup was done beforehand, right? So they would get like all the guidelines before starting on what tools to install and how to get all the accesses that were necessary. And then they came in, they had the full agenda, all the meetings to be done. But besides everything that is onboarding on the technical part, let's say, of getting to know the business, getting to know the product, or getting to know the services you're offering, we wanted to make sure there were experiences that were more informal as well. One of the things that we did with a lot of clients, but also internally, that was a big success was virtual coffees, like random coffees. Every week we would match up two people. Now everybody got matched up, right? So you had different pairs throughout the company, and you simply had to take a 5 to 10 minutes virtual coffee, and talking about work was not allowed. It's not allowed. We're still doing it. So it's not allowed. So it's really about getting to know people personally, even though sometimes we've never even met physically, right?
And Andre, when I listen to you, it seems that you are taking many of those steps to reflect your own company mission onto your employees. But let's say someone is watching this and they don't have a boss who is willing to invest in employee purpose. What should they do then?
If I have to, let's say I work for a company and I have to convince the top management to really implement, I would start with that. Well, let's look around what our peers are doing. What are some companies doing and are doing very successful? Show some case studies. Let's think about it to our culture in my company. What do we want to achieve, and how will this program take the company forward while also helping communities and helping society, helping the planet, showing very clearly this return on investment, and then setting up a plan, a program for the year. And a lot of people get stuck because they think they have to create a big revolution when they want to do it, right? We have to change everything, change the culture, and do I don't know how many initiatives, and 100% of the workforce has to be engaged. It's not really the case. You have to start, but you can start, and you actually should start small. Few activities, see what's the reaction for people, what are the outcomes, what's the feedback, and what can you tweak around in the program to get it better, involving the right people, communicating around it. When you're building this strategy, think about who are the beneficiaries as well. Okay, who is going to be involved first? So listen to your employees. What do they want to do? What are they good at? Listen to what the world needs. So talk to charities, talk to beneficiaries. How can you support them? Right? So set these goals through the program, start small, and little by little, you're going to see that the culture starts to change and the program gets more traction and more people involved. But it's not done overnight, unfortunately.
And of course, we are having this discussion, and this series is focused on everything that is going to happen in terms of our future work lives and this new work model. What kind of issues do you think still deserve more attention when we talk about the future of work?
When we're talking about future of work, the first things that maybe come to mind for most people, or we see a lot in terms of articles and people talking about, it's, okay, of course, technology, right? So how will technology impact the future of work? It's these new arrangements, right? Within remote work or flexible contracts and so on. It's about skills, and training. So what are the skills of the future? Are we educating people properly? Are we training them properly for those jobs of the future? But for me, it's more about the why, right? In future, right? Are we thinking, or now, are we thinking enough about purpose, right? What is the real meaning of that company? What does the world needs now? What does the world needs in the future? And how can we reflect our business? So how can we align profit, right? The business, which is so important, of course, but together with planet and society. So what's the reasons for the existence of my company? And then the rest, what I mentioned before, comes as a support for that. Okay, once we define this, how can technology, how can new skills and everything support getting to that purpose or living in that purpose? And I think that's the most important thing.
And just finally, what is one thing that you have completely turned around in your own work life this year that you'll never go back to again?
I think that we had a flexible way of working even before, where people could work from home, and we had everything set up to work from home. And there was always a debate of the balance, right? How much is too much of working from home or being at the office? And I don't think that debate takes us very, very far. I think both are so important, having this flexibility and allowing people to work from home when they want to work from home. And when the type of tasks they have to do will be more productive at home, makes all the difference. But also being at the office and getting to know people, it's so important. Meaning that I would never go to 100% remote work if I have the choice, of course, because I think seeing people and being at the office is so important. One of the things that I miss the most is how spontaneous we can be at the office on celebrating the small things. You know, here I'm at home. If I get some very good news, great, I can share a message, I can call people, and I can celebrate. If I'm at the office, I shout and everybody looks and we share the stories. And this kind of, you know, spontaneity is so important. The other way, the other side of the coin is also very important, because the problem about everybody being remote is that when we're down or we're not doing well, people simply don't see it, right? You can go about your week, you can go about your full day, and nobody realizes that actually, you know, you're getting bad news after bad news, or simply your personal life, something's not working out. If you're seeing people at the office, you see that straight away, and you go tap the person on the back, you go have a coffee, you try to boost morale. And the problem about being 100% at home is that you don't see that, and that's dangerous. And that's why we're seeing so many issues in terms of mental health all over the world, and depression and burnouts. And so I wouldn't choose 100% at the office, and I wouldn't choose 100% at home. 2020 allowed me to see that probably the right balance, maybe half, or allowing employees to choose, but not entirely one side or entirely the other side. And that's important.
And so basically, just to sum up, you're saying don't think too much about the percentage, just go for whatever works for you, correct?
And for people, listen to them. Some people absolutely hate home office. Others, they absolutely love it. If work allows, you know, with some balance, let them do it.
Andre, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts today.
Thank you for the invitation, Olivia. All the best.